Hello again and welcome. Today I'm going to be covering the Simon Hope hollowing system. Finally I found a system which suits my style of turning. I'll make no apologies for the video being quite a bit longer than usual, but I'm going to be covering quite a lot of detail and subject matter. I'm going to split the video into three sections. The first section will cover the first tool I purchased, which is the 6mm Pro Carbide Tool, which is a very versatile and very effective tool, not just for deep hollowing but also for shallow hollowing like goblet bowls, and we all know I like goblets, and boxes. So I'm going to put that through its paces and show you its versatility. Then, being an old codger, I'm getting quite a few aches and pains, especially in the neck and the shoulders when I'm hollowing. I went for the easy arm jig, the Hope Easy Arm Jig, which takes the majority of the stress out of hollowing, which can't be a bad thing for us old folk. But old and young alike, it makes hollowing an even better experience. So I'll go through the assembly of that, the setup of that. A lot of the points that I make I've taken from Simon himself, and indeed Andy Coates' videos, and put a little spin on it to my way of doing it, and a few little extras as well, which might be of assistance to you should you go down the Hope hollowing system route. So that's that side of it, and then finally the laser system. I'll go through the setup of that as well and how effective that can be. So that's why the video is going to be rather long, but if I put it into three separate sections, then you can look at each section if it's relevant for what you want to find out. So I hope you enjoy it and find it informative, and we'll start off with going over the 6mm Pro. The basic package when you get the 6mm Pro Carbide tool is a 16mm steel bar with a stainless steel insert which is held in place with two grub screws, and seated on that stainless steel insert is the 6mm carbide tool, cutter, sorry. Don't be fooled, it's only a small cutter, but my God can it do some damage, and it can also be very delicate as well and leave a really good finish, and I hope I can demonstrate that for you later on. It comes with what they call easy grip grips, soft grip. Now they come off. Now what I did for doing small things like goblets and small bowls and boxes, etc., for hollowing out, this is great as it is, but I also invested in the Hope quick release handle, which has a collet on the end, and this one is for the 16mm bar. Now these grips, you can position the grip where you like. They are difficult to get off. If I can't get it off, I'll have to cut, because sometimes they come off easy and other times they don't. I don't really, there we go, I don't really keep those on. Now what happens is that you have the collet open and you slip your bar into the handle and twist, and there we have a substantial hollowing tool. And as I say, you can move that in and out as you wish, depending on the depth you want to go and get the right balance for your turning style. A great addition in my opinion. Also there is another insert, again with a 6mm cutter, and that's a hook tool for getting round on the underneath of undercuts on hollow forms, etc. That makes the job a lot easier. I mean, you can undercut quite well with a straight one, but that just gives you that little bit of extra flexibility, and that is an accessory, and all is very keenly priced. Obviously I'll put a link to Simon's website in the description below. So that is basically this tool, and what I intend to do now is put it through its paces and show you what it can do. So what I'm going to show you now is, for, let's say this was going to be a goblet. I know it's a rather short one. It's a piece of cherry. I've drilled out a depth hole, as I always do, to get rid of that slow moving wood. Now, providing you don't go on to the tapered section here, you can move your rest in to there and carry on, turning at about 1500 revs. I'm going to do a bit of an undercut here because that's the shape I want. Actually, I could open that out a bit so you can see a bit better. So we've achieved the undercut there. The surface is really quite smooth, so you can just see how versatile this little tool can be. Instead of back hollowing with your gouge, you can use this tool for hollowing, and the same for boxes and bowls as well. It's very versatile, as well as for the deeper hollowing. So I'm going to go through the assembly of the easy arm jig, which is really very simple. All the components I show you are included in the package. Okay, so here's the kicker plate, which is the base for the easy arm, and the first thing to do is to screw on the supplied post which holds the jig. So if you place with a washer underneath, you place that through the M25 bolt, so they're quite substantial, and then screw the post on. Okay, and again a Tommy bar is supplied. Place the Tommy bar through the holes in the post base and flip him over, and just with a wrench give it a tighten down, so that's nice and tight and solid. The next thing is to get this anchored onto the bed. When you're assembling this, if you have it on a slight angle there, it will actually not tilt, but you have to be careful. Okay, now this is the retaining bar, and that's how that looks. And the idea is to adjust this until when you've got it through your bedways, because obviously the thickness of beds are different on lathe to lathe, is to have about ½ inch protruding through the kicker plate so that you can tighten it down. So put a washer on there, and as I say, it's fairly stable here, it stays on its own. So pop that through, making sure that the arm is across the bedways, and make sure, don't forget the washer, and clamp him down. And then again, as I say, making sure that the retaining bar is across the bedways, just tighten that up. There we go, nice and solid. Okay, now this is the post, obviously. Now on here is a collar, and by means of a grub screw at the back, that collar goes up and down the post. And the reason for that is when you seat your jig on there, the centre of the bar, which I'll show you now, and a little tip, when you're putting this on, concertina it up, make sure that the heads of the bolts in the arms are facing upwards, and slide over the bar, and that will slide down. Okay, now this does have a mind of its own because it's so easy, it works so easy, hence the name, I'm sure. Okay, so now what I've done on here, I've marked the centre point of this arm here. Now that needs to be in line with the centre of your spindle. Now there are several ways of doing that. You can either bring up if you've got your tailstock on, you bring your tailstock up, put a live centre in there and get the mark on here together with that. Now I know that the centre of my spindle is 8 inches or 203 mil or whatever, and I've set this up. It does take a little bit of fiddling about with, but it's worth it to get this as exact as you can. So when I put this up, it is exactly at centre height, and what that means is that the centre of the holder for your tool is at centre height. Okay, so that's that done, and that is the assembly of the easy arm jig. Now also supplied is a reducing sleeve. Now this reducing sleeve is will allow you to put in a bar of 16 mil diameter, and without the reducing sleeve the holder accepts the 19 mil, which are the common sizes of most hollowing tools. And it must be stressed that you're not restricted to only using Simon Hope hollowing tools. Any tools which have a bar size of that, 16 mil, which is 5/8 on 19 mil, which is 3/4 of an inch, will happily work in this system. So it's a very flexible system in that respect as well. Now to actually insert, if I use the 19 mil bar, it's simplicity itself. Let's move it around this way. You have 2 grub screws here in the handle, and you slip in the bar. The reason that's a bit tight is because I had the sleeve in earlier on, and then to get the best results from this, just have at about 10 degrees, 5 to 10 degrees to the left, tilt the blade down that way, and then tighten up your Allen screws, and you're ready to go. You might think that this part of the demonstration is a little bit over the top, but I just wanted to sort of show you the importance of setting it up accurately in the beginning. Because don't forget, once you've done it, every time you put the easy arm rig on, it's going to be spot on. So here's the centre of my spindle. Now I have obviously tilted the cutter, or the cutter assembly, to about 5-7 degrees, something like that, on the tilt anti-clockwise. So now the cutting part is here, is going to be on this area here, so that's what needs to be centre, which is there. And that's it. Okay, so that is the height I need for hollowing. Now this is the over the top bit, if you like. If you take a spirit level and put it on there, it is damn near in the middle, okay, which is fine. And that means that as I go deeper and move the rest nearer the front of the hollow form, that this is not going to alter its height in respect to the centre of the work. If you have not done the collar correctly on the arm itself, and if it is, let's say, tilted like so, so that it's pointing downwards, it might be on centre at the start, but as you get deeper and deeper it's going to go lower and lower. So that, if you like, highlights the importance of getting it right from the start. Something worthy as well of mention is the fact that the straight bar and the hook bar, the insert can be taken from the straight bar and put on the hook bar if you so wish, and also the 19mm high-speed steel cutter can be taken off the hook bar and put onto the straight bar, so it's totally interchangeable with regards to the type of cutter you want on which bar. Right, so now I'm going to demonstrate the Pro Carbide, the 6mm Pro Carbide. There's a piece of wet ash which I've just roughly shaped on the outside. I've drilled a depth hole and that just gets rid of the slow moving wood. I've just started there. What happened was, unfortunately, I got waylaid, so it's distorted already because it was wet ash, as I say, but hopefully there's a piece here which I've CA'd in, but I'm well out of the line of fire, and if that does come loose, that's fine. But I'm going to leave the walls fairly thick on this, but I will also demonstrate the easy arm jig and the laser on this piece. It's no point going right down to the very bottom because you won't be able to see anything, but I want to hopefully demonstrate how well these tools cut. So first of all, the 6mm Pro Carbide. This is, as I say, wet ash with a nasty little knot there. Very impressive, in my opinion. Now what I'm going to do is to set up the easy arm jig, and we'll see how much easier it is to use. I've now got the 19mm bar into the easy arm jig, and I have the cutter. As I explained before, it's always best to tilt it to the left anti-clockwise by between 5 and 10 degrees. And the point I was making about getting the setup correct, this is now cutting on centre, and if I put my spirit level on there, it is level, 100% level, which means as I proceed down this form, or even a longer form, or a deeper form, that the cutter is going to remain on centre and not either go down below centre or go above centre if this is not horizontal. Okay, so again we'll be turning at about 1200 revs, and we'll take it down as far as the camera can see anyway with this, and I'll show you how easy it is on the sole fogies, and then I'll swap over to the hook tool just to finish off the inside with the laser, to show you how the laser works. It's not going to be thin wall because I'm hoping to save this, although it's got nasty little bits in there. I think it'll look good if I can save it. Okay, so change over to the hook tool. Number one, to clean out, just to get rid of the riffles there, smooth that out, and then I'll attach the laser and show you the principle behind that. I just thought I'd show you how easy it is to actually sharpen the 19mm high-speed steel blade on your grinder. Loosen the retaining screw until the blade spins, and offer it up to your grinder below centre. Offer it up to the grinder, light pressure, until you get an even bevel, an even colour all round, and you've sharpened. As simple as that. Right, well, now I have the 19mm hook tool with the 19mm cutter, and that's freshly sharpened, as I showed you. An easy method to sharpen it, and the cutting area, which is around here, is on centre height. So all I'm going to do now is just to demonstrate how these ridges here will be removed with the aid of this tool. Again, nice easy strokes. And already, just with a couple of passes, you can see, hopefully, there's a little ridge there, a little valley there, which I'll get rid of. Very effective, and I think you agree that's a nice finish to start a braiding on. Okay, so now the laser, as I explained, I'm not going to go too shallow, but too narrow, I should say, a wall. But let's just say we'll take it in a couple of mil there, so you can see the theory behind the laser. So the next thing I'm going to show you is the setup of the laser system, and on top of the blade holder here there is a threaded hole, and you take the bar and merely thread it in, and that is sorted. And just to tighten it, give it a good screw like that. Okay, so that's on. Now in actual fact you can leave that on all the time. It doesn't get in the way as such. Okay, so now we have the assembly itself and the laser itself, and again the package comes with the thinner rod, a clamping mechanism there with a hole which goes down the rod here, and the laser itself, which simply is tightened by means of a grub screw onto the bar. So what we do is slip that over and just tighten up with the locking lever, just temporarily now, so it's in place. Now what I've done here, this connector obviously comes separately with a 3-pin plug for UK, Now it's important that you get all the wiring or the cabling out of the way, so what I've done is put a couple of cable ties here with sufficient spare here so I can plug it in when I want to use it. And then again, importantly, make sure that the cable is out of the way. Now I don't know if you might be able to see this, I don't think you will, but fortunately I've got a little bit of plywood up here with a groove in which I keep my ruler, so I just slot it in there when I'm using and plug it in. Okay, so now essentially it's set up, and just check that everything's working, which it is. So now the next stage is to set it up for when you want to cut, you're doing a hollow form, whatever, and you want to get the wall thickness correct. So I'll change the camera angle and we'll go through that method. Oh, one thing which is quite important, when you set everything up regarding a distance, always look down, you can do it by eye, and make sure that this is parallel with this part, so that it is the light is shining perpendicular to the blade. Otherwise what's going to happen is it's not going to be accurate. So that's a very simple operation, and again all you need to do to rotate this bar is undo this lever where you want it, put the bar where you want it, and tighten up again. So it's a very, very easy way of doing things. Okay, now to set up the laser. So what we need is the laser to be opposite the point of cutting. So if it's a straight sided vessel, the majority of your cutting will be done in this area here, so you want to set it up with the laser opposite there. And if you're doing a hollow form with let's say bulbous sides, whatever, you have to be mindful of what part of the blade is going to be cutting. I mean, we would use the 6mm tool to do the majority of the hogging out, and then when we get to I don't know, let's say about 8mm, something like that, approximately wall thickness, with the 6mm tool, then we can turn to the hook tool with the finishing scraper 19mm head on to do the final smoothing and getting to the exact width, wall thickness that we're looking for. So we need to set that up. Now this might be, again, be a bit of overkill on my part, but because the arm has a mind of its own and I've only got one pair of hands, what I've done, this is 6mm between the inner edges of these lines. Okay, so let's pretend that's what I want on a wall thickness. It can be any size you like. So what I've done, that is, if we're cutting here, for example, on the bottom of a bowl, let's say, or bottom of a form, then you would set the laser up with the aspect of your guide there. But being that we're going to be, in this case, let's say, doing a fairly straight-sided vessel, you can put your eye over, and by this ingenious method, you clamp it on to where you want. So let's just say that's, now this is actually on the inside, which is great. Okay, now plug the laser in, and of course it's way off, isn't it? So by means of altering, number one, we're going to have to bring the arm in. Now you see, if I'm moving it, it's not actually moving the laser, which is great, so it gives me a bit more flexibility. So we want to move the arm in, and again, when we do that, you want to make sure that you're at 90 degrees. So now alter the other arm just to get the bar perpendicular, which is there. And there we go. Tighten up. Now we're all set. Now the distance between that edge there, which is going to be doing the cutting, and the laser is, in this case, 6mm. It's as easy as that. And of course, I reiterate again, when you're going down a shaped form, always be mindful of the area of the cutter that is doing the cutting. Okay, so I've got the laser set up. It's quite a wide wall. It's going to end up with about 12 mil. There'll be a bit of knocking from that knot from the branch wood, but we're only going to go down to about that depth, but it'll show you the process. While the laser is visible, provided we're cutting opposite where the laser is, then as soon as it drops off the end, then the required wall thickness has been achieved. So safety gear on and away we go. See now that on the rim it's starting to elongate and disappear, and when it disappears we're at the 12 mil mark. Right, there we've got it. So now we carry on down. There as well. We're hitting the knot now. And there you would carry on down the form, and the reason I'm not going to carry on anymore is because I want to save this piece, and I'm going to have to give it a little bit of TLC with regarding a little bit of sawdust and CA. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it informative and enjoyable as well. I will make a slight apology for the length of the video, but then having said that, there's a lot of detail to cover and I felt it was worthwhile. As I say, thanks very much for tuning in. If you have any questions at all, please put them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. I'll put Simon's website details below in the description, as I've said. All his contact details are on there too. He's a very approachable guy, so if you want to have the answer from the horse's mouth, get in touch, email or even phone Simon, and he'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Well, thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you very soon. Cheers now.